The year of 1998 was a strange one for EA Sports. The PGA Tour Series saw its final release without one certain golfer, and the Madden NFL series, for the only time in its existence, was outsold by a rival franchise. But from these ashes arose two new games. These were NCAA Football 98 and March Madness 98. While both of these series existed in some form before this, the 1998 editions pushed these franchises into the next generation, the PlayStation. We'll start with football. To start out, the presentation here is just excellent. There are numerous modes, including a season mode, a tournament, and an interesting Greatest Games mode. In Greatest Games, some of the most memorable games in history are available for play. These are a pretty cool addition to this game, and they're definitely a precursor to the College Classics mode included in a few later releases. This game excels graphically as well, at least as far as the PlayStation goes. The stadium models are pretty accurate, and the sprite-based gameplay on a 3D plane, similar to a few of the previous games reviewed in this series, works fairly well. Now the gameplay itself is just okay. Passing and running on the offensive side work well enough, and there's no real animation for catching, which makes the passing game a little awkward. The sprites make the running game almost disorienting in a way. The scaling really messes up the way that speed works. Your running back may seem to be stopped in the backfield, but all of a sudden he'll outrun the whole defense. It's strange that way. Speed is really the biggest issue with this game. It's just too slow. Other than that, however, it's pretty good. You can have some fun with it. Now on the basketball side, the presentation stays just as good. One of the best features comes when picking teams. Every team can be selected from a total ranking of every team in the game, so if you want to play a game with the two worst defenses, you can do that easily right from the selection screen. NCAA tournament and season modes are also playable. The excellent graphical standards set by the football game continues on with March Madness. The courts are all very accurate, including the classic court from the Big Yellow State of Kansas era here in Allen Fieldhouse. Unlike in football, all of these player models are polygons, and though they're a little blocky, they're still okay. Now the gameplay is really good. There are a few flaws, such as the total lack of lenience with layups and dunks. You have to be in the perfect position to dunk or lay it in, otherwise you'll just stop and take a jump shot. And that's pretty unfortunate for a game with a cover of a guy dunking. Otherwise, shooting and passing are typically pretty good, and some intense and fun gameplay awaits anyone who plays. Also included are 13 women's teams. Interestingly enough, this style of gameplay seems better tailored for the women's game, as it's more fundamentally focused and the engine benefits more from precise shooting rather than above the rim style of play. I think the strangest thing about having this mode in the game is definitely not the fact that it's there, but rather the fact that they never tried it again. Especially in later seasons, seeing how much money both the men's and women's tournaments make every year. It would only make sense to see both sides represented. But really, both of these games were good starts to long-running franchises. Unfortunately now, March Madness has been discontinued, but for the few years that it was running, it was a good series. As for the football series, it's been running for a long time, and it looks like it'll continue to exist for years. I beat Donkey Kong Country, Dad. Are you proud of me?
I'm very proud of you.